Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking at a shadow that's loomed over human history for, well, literally millennia. I want you to imagine walking in absolute silence. You're being pulled forward, and there's no sun, no stars to guide you. It's a pretty intense concept, right? Because in this place, the dead do not look back. And this was the ultimate domain of Anubis, the ancient Egyptian guardian of death.
Okay, let's dive into this. So, when you reach the very end of that starless, silent path, what actually happens? You know, in the ancient Egyptian belief system, you don't just wander around aimlessly in the dark. No way. You actually face a definitive, terrifying test. You arrive here, at the Hall of Two Truths. This is the realm where every single soul becomes lighter or heavier, depending entirely on the weight of the deeds it carries right in its heart. I mean, picture it. A trembling soul, maybe just a poor merchant who only wanted to survive the brutal hardships of life, standing before these massive, unyielding scales, waiting in agonizing silence for the balance of fate to tip. Take a greedy merchant, for example. His heart is placed on one side of the scale, and it's weighed directly against the feather of Ma'at, which is the divine representation of absolute truth. Now, if that heart is deemed impure, corrupted by the life he lived, the result is horrific, and it's instantaneous. He is consumed by Ammit, the devouring demon. He perishes into absolute eternal oblivion, completely denied immortality in the beautiful fields of reed. And through all of this, the eternal black jackal just stands there in silence, waiting for the next soul, because the list of the dead is countless, and that scale, it always weighs true.
Section 1. Birth of the Jackal God. So, why did the ancient Egyptians create such a formidable figure in the first place?
Well, Anubis wasn't just born out of pure imagination. Actually, he was born from a very practical, visceral terror. See, in ancient times, wild jackals prowled around fresh graves at night. They were scavenging, literally destroying burials. It was a huge problem. So, ironically, to protect their dead, the Egyptians took the very wild dogs that were digging up their graves and brilliantly shaped them into divine protectors. If you look at early Old Kingdom scripts, they conceptualize the great black jackal. He was depicted in full canine form, sitting right on his belly, ears always alert, permanently guarding the entrances of the tombs.
Now, what's really interesting here is how his role shifted over time. Originally, Anubis was the absolute ruler of the dead. His authority over the afterlife and burial rites was completely undisputed. He was the final destination, the whole shebang. But when the god Osiris rose to prominence in their culture, Anubis was completely reimagined. He became the opener of ways, the guide to Osiris's throne, and the overseer of embalming. They even started calling him He Who Is Upon the Mountain, which really highlights his new role as this ever-watchful guardian looking down on the cemeteries from the vast desert peaks.
Section 2. The Betrayal of Osiris. This is where his undisputed reign gets completely disrupted.
The whole story hinges on an explosive conflict between two incredibly powerful brothers. On one side, we have Osiris, the king of all Egypt. He was a just, divine ruler who brought flourishing agriculture, law, and order to the lands. A real hero type. But on the other side, we have his brother, Set. Set was the god of violence and chaos, and he was absolutely consumed by jealousy. Set wanted the throne of Egypt for himself, and he devised a masterfully treacherous plan to overthrow his pure-hearted brother, who, sadly, never suspected a thing.
So Set creates this marvelous, beautifully crafted chest, built to the exact proportions of Osiris. He brings it out in a room of guests and urges him, saying, "Is it not glorious? Try it, lie in it, make your brother happy." It was the ultimate trap. Literally the exact moment Osiris laid down inside to test its comfort, Set sealed it shut. He murdered his brother, ruthlessly cut his body into pieces, and scattered those remains across all of Egypt. Just absolutely brutal.
Section 3. The first mummification. Now we reach the climax of our story, where the shattered body is recovered and the black jackal steps in.
Let's move to the next part and see how this builds. When the remains were finally gathered, Anubis appeared and actually restored the shattered body to wholeness by performing a series of holy rituals that the world had never seen before. First, he purified the corpse. Second, he meticulously wrapped it in linen. Third, he applied sacred oils. And finally, he spoke powerful protective spells over the body. Through this exact chronological process, Anubis essentially became the creator of mummification, miraculously preserving Osiris from decay.
Now, I really want to emphasize why this matters. Because of this single mythological act, death was no longer the end. It became a profound transformation. This concept fundamentally changed human history. It allowed the dead king to continue to exist beyond death, and it became absolutely the most important pillar of ancient Egyptian religion. From then onward, for literally thousands of years, priests wearing jackal masks would meticulously repeat exactly what Anubis had done for Osiris.
Section 4. The Eternal Guardian. Let's look at the aftermath of this massive ritual.
Because of Anubis's miraculous intervention, Osiris was able to descend to the underworld and take his ultimate place as the Lord of the Dead. And Osiris commanded him, saying, "None knows the roads of death better than you, old guardian. Walk among them, guide them through the night." So you see, Anubis wasn't overthrown, he wasn't violently defeated, he willingly stepped down as the supreme ruler to become the indispensable guide. He became the overseer of embalming, the precise wearer of hearts, and the ultimate protector of mummies. He didn't just fade into the background, he chose to become the eternal attendant of the soul's final journey.
And this brilliantly illustrates an incredible character arc for an entire culture's belief system. We started at the dawn, right? With a visceral, simple fear of scavenging jackals. By the Old Kingdom, that fear became Anubis, the absolute ruler. Then the betrayal and murder of Osiris changed everything. It forced the transformation, where Anubis invents mummification to save his king. And finally, we reach eternity, where Anubis secures his place as the sacred guide. You can see how ancient Egyptian burials sifted from this dark, terrifying fear of oblivion into a grand adventure. It offered a sacred hope for resurrection and eternal life.
Anubis made all of that possible. He gave humanity the tools to face the eternal scales, replacing terror with hope. But it leaves us with a pretty profound question to reflect on. Can the heart truly reveal who we are? The ancient Egyptians believed the heart remembers what the tongue denies, and that the feather of truth never, ever lies. But as we navigate the shadows of our own lives today, with all of our hidden complexities, can the heart truly hold the totality of our truth? Or can even the soul be fooled? Think about that the next time you face a moment of absolute silence.